Welcome back to the Popped Podcast, where we uncover real, raw, and rarely discussed truths about pregnancy, birth, postpartum, and beyond. I'm your host, Dr. Emily Muery, prenatal and postpartum chiropractor, birth doula, and founder of Move Moms at Move Chiropractic Boulder. Today, we're going to keep going on with our sleep series into episode 2, which is all about that 3 to 4 month sleep regression that we see most babies experience. I hear about this one all the time in the office. Oh, my baby's hitting a sleep regression. Oh, we're at that 3 to 4 month sleep regression. And as much as we are familiar with the term 3-month sleep regression, I don't know that we're always fully understanding why this regression happens. And if we better understand why the regression is happening, we can better process and help baby process through this regression so that we can make it to the other side of the regression and continue having progression. But that's actually where I want to start, because we always say 3-month regression. I want us to reframe the 3-month sleep regression to the 3-month sleep progression. Suddenly, my baby who used to give me a decent stretch of sleep is now waking up every 1 to 2 hours. My baby used to nap everywhere and anywhere, and now it feels like they fight every single nap. Everyone told me that it would get better after the newborn stage, but it feels like it's getting worse. If that sounds familiar, you are not alone. Around 3 to 4 months, many parents feel blindsided when their baby's sleep changes dramatically. This is often labeled as that 3-month sleep regression. It's actually something very different. It's a massive developmental shift. And here's the tricky part. There's really no perfect way to prepare for this. You can read all of the books, you can take all of the classes, you can listen to this podcast a million times and still feel like it comes out of nowhere. That doesn't mean that you are doing anything wrong or that you didn't prepare well enough. It means that your baby is growing and that their brain is leveling up. In this episode, we're going to break down why your baby's sleep suddenly looks so different. We're going to break down what is actually happening in the brain and the body during this stage, and then how you can support your baby and yourself through this transition without losing your mind. Sorry, my hair keeps getting caught on the mic. I try to have my cute Taylor Swift pieces if I'm recording this podcast way in advance. So this news has been out, but how pumped are we all for Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce? I know I am. I watched that podcast like 2 or 3 times. So now I want to look like her. My hair is falling out everywhere, but let's get into this. So what is the science behind this sleep progression? I'm going to keep trying to call it progression instead of regression. So at this 3 to 4 month time point, your baby's sleep is going through one of the biggest transformations it ever will go through. It's not random, it's not regression, it's biology, it's development, it's brain renewing all at once. And here's what's really happening underneath the surface. The move from newborn sleep to adult-like sleep, this is what is slightly happening. Of course, your baby isn't sleeping like an adult immediately at that 3 to 4 months. That's why we experience these shorter stretches. But we are transitioning from newborn sleep to not newborn sleep. I hate seeing adult-like sleep because it's really not adult-like quite yet. But newborns don't have fully organized sleep. Instead, they have 4 classic sleep stages that adults cycle through just much quicker, like we talked about last week. And the baby's not broken, they're sleeping, their short stages are normal. We have light sleep, deep sleep, REM. Newborns toggle between just 2 states, active sleep and quiet sleep. Active sleep is similar to REM, which is twitchy, noisy, grunting, irregular breathing. And then we have quiet sleep, which is similar to deep sleep. It's heavy, it's restorative. By 3 to 4 months, babies' brains develop the wiring for multiple distinct stages of sleep. And now they begin to cycle through light sleep, deep sleep, and REM in a sequence more like adults. Now that they're moving into those longer, more complex sleep cycles, newborn cycles that are only 40 to 50 minutes long, which is where you get those frequent wake-ups. By 3 to 4 months, those cycles stretches up to like 90 minutes typically. But here's the kicker. Every transition point in between those stages is an opportunity to wake up. So in between light sleep to deep sleep, That transition is an opportunity to wake up. Deep sleep to REM sleep is an opportunity to wake up. REM sleep back to deep sleep is an opportunity to wake up. All of these transitions in and out of these different stages are more opportunities for baby to wake up. For adults, our brains know how to roll over, adjust, and drift through the next cycle. Babies haven't learned that skill yet, so often they fully wake up. And then their circadian rhythm starts to develop. In newborn weeks, babies don't produce their own melatonin, the hormone that helps you regulate what day versus night is. We talked about this last episode as well. They are riding on their mother's melatonin, which is passed through pregnancy and in breast milk. Around 3 months, their pineal gland starts to kick in and they begin producing melatonin themselves. This is where they start syncing in those day-night patterns, which can actually make bedtime battles a lot easier if the environment supports it. But this also means that naps might be harder. Their internal clock is strengthening, so falling asleep on the go or in the middle of Target or on the car ride sometimes might be a little bit more difficult or not as consistent. We also have sleep pressure and obviously brain chemistry, but sleep pressure we don't always hear. Sleep pressure is the buildup of adenosine. I probably say it differently than it's supposed to be said, so adenosine, adenosine. This is what makes us feel tired. This starts to become stronger and stronger and more regulated in this stage for babies. In newborns, the pressure builds and releases unpredictably, which is why they can nap anywhere, anytime. At 3 to 4 months, this pressure starts linking with their circadian rhythm, which is why the timing of their naps and their bedtime suddenly matters much more. If the timing is off, babies can become overtired, making it even harder for them to link in their sleep cycles. This is why it is important for babies to have somewhat of a consistent routine if that is what is needed for their sleep cycles. This is where we start to see some of our neurological growth spurts. This stage coincides with explosive brain development, like better vision, stronger awareness of surroundings, and new motor skills. With new skills comes more stimulation, and stimulation impacts sleep. Babies wake more simply because their brains are processing so much more new input. And then I also have my light sleeper effect. Parents often say my baby used to sleep anywhere, and now they wake up at even just the smallest noise. That's because light sleep stages become more prominent in this cycle or in this stage for babies. Light sleep is a purpose, and it has a purpose. It's protective. It keeps babies more responsive to their environment, but it also means that a sound machine, dark rooms, and consistent routines suddenly matter much more than they used to. And if we're using them, the consistency of which we're using them during baby sleep times is really important so that they're able to clock in, oh, this is time to go to sleep. The big takeaway from all of this is what looks like broken sleep is actually your baby's brain making huge shifts and upgrading. They are shifting from simple newborn sleep system to a complex adult-like system. It feels harder in the short term, but in the long run, it is a foundation for predictable, consolidated sleep. Why does this shift feel so difficult for parents? Even when you know the science, living through this stage can feel brutal, and here's why. First, I have the contrast effect. Up until now, babies have given parents a few blissful weeks of longer stretches of sleep. And just when you start to think, we made it, the sleep starts to fall apart. This feels like a regression because you're comparing it to what you had, not what's normal for development. Second, I have timing is a perfect storm. At 3 to 4 months, parents are often returning to work, adjusting routines, or moving out of the newborn survival habits. Sleep disruption during this transition can feel like a gut punch because your bandwidth is already stretched so thin. 3, I have unrealistic expectations. Society bombards parents with that idea that babies should sleep through the night by 3 months. And when your baby doesn't sleep through the night at 3 months, you feel like something's wrong, either with them or with you. And in reality, fragmented sleep is still very biologically normal at this age. We allow peer pressure to settle in and start affecting our mentality and how we affect or change our baby's sleeping patterns or try to change those baby sleeping patterns. Fourth, I have the overtired spiral. Because circadian rhythm and sleep pressure are just coming online, timing becomes important, but it's hard to hit it right. Overtired babies are fussier, harder to settle, and wake more often, and parents get caught in the loop of short naps, overtired evenings, and rough nights. Fifth, I have it feels personal. When baby cries every time that they wake up, it's easy to think that you are doing something wrong or that they're just a bad sleeper. In reality, they're just working on brand new brain wiring, but the emotional weight of those wake ups in the middle of the night can be really heavy. Last, I have you're sleep deprived too. By now, the adrenaline of the newborn stage is wearing off and your body craves longer stretches of restorative sleep, but you're not getting it. Sleep deprivation in parents magnifies frustration, anxiety, and even physical pain. So if you're in the thick of this, you are not failing. This isn't punishment. This isn't forever. What you're experiencing is growing pains of a maturing nervous system. And it's hard because your needs matter too. It's the truth. Your needs matter. Your baby's needs matter. You're trying to suffice for them, yourself, possibly even your partner. So it's a lot. It's understandable. Know that you are not alone and that it is really common to feel like this. Okay, you guys, I'm super excited about this new sponsor because it's somebody I've actually been working with for a while now called The Final Punctuation. It's a female-owned, one-woman editing and proofreading service. Her name is Carrie, and she has completely changed how confident I feel putting my words into the world. She's helped me with everything from my brochures to my doula contracts to small marketing things. And not only is her turnaround time incredible, but she helps you to understand the why behind her edits. She sees things that I would have never caught and somehow keeps your voice intact while making everything stronger, cleaner, and clearer. She works with all kinds of creators from bloggers, podcasters, to small business owners, marketing folks, and even students. Anyone putting their words out into the world. And if you've ever posted something and noticed a typo after, you know how it feels. One tiny error can totally kill that first impression. In fact, stats show that only one typo can increase bounce rates by up to 85%, and grammar mistakes turn away nearly 60% of readers. And I know what you're thinking about AI. Can it just take care of all my grammar and mechanics? AI still struggles with tone, nuance, and accuracy, which is not a great combo if you're trying to earn trust. So if you're writing anything from podcasts to brochures, website copy, marketing materials, let Carrie take a look at it. Visit thefinalpunctuation.com to submit a request for any project and tell her that you're a Popped Podcast listener for 15% off your first order. That's thefinalpunctuation.com. Now let's get back to the episode. Let's move on to how to support your baby and yourself through that 3 to 4 month sleep shift. And this isn't about fixing your baby's sleep because nothing's broken. It's about setting the stage for smoother nights and protecting your own well-being during this transition. So work with it, not against it. The new sleep biology. Embrace shorter wake windows. At 3 to 4 months, most babies can only handle 60 to 90 minutes of wake time before they tip into that overtiredness. So watching the clock and your baby's cues really helps. Dark, cool, quiet sleep environment. Light sleep stages are often more sensitive, so blackout curtains and white noise machines suddenly make a big difference for babies during this time. Bedtime routines. Even something simple like bath, book, feed, sleep. These cues, when they're done consistently, allows babies to have these cues to their brain to start releasing their melatonin. Now that that pineal gland is kicked on and they can release that melatonin, we want to start setting a routine that allows babies' brains to lock in, hey, we're getting ready for bedtime. And my next note was consistency makes this actually work. This is more important than the length of any bedtime routine. Consistency of a bedtime routine is bottom line, best thing you can do to help baby get ready for bed and work into a good or successful quote unquote night of sleep. Second, you can start support linking their sleep cycles. Pause before rushing into their crib, bedroom, bassinet, whatever it is. Sometimes babies stir at the end of a sleep cycle, but they'll settle if they're given a moment. So you can offer, without actually always picking them up, patting, shushing, a hand on the chest, can help them shift back into that next cycle. And then the swaddle transition, many babies start rolling at this stage, and moving from a swaddle to a sleep sack with the arms free can help them self-soothe, especially if they're a thumb sucker, if they like touching themselves or just opening their arms or putting them in a different position so that they can soothe themselves back to sleep. Third, I have protect naps without obsessing over them. So naps may suddenly shorten to 30 to 45 minutes, which are can sometimes be very frustrating for parents, but this is very common. Instead of stressing, aim for enough total daytime sleep, even if it's spread out. So motion naps, whether it's the stroller or carrier, those can still count as nap time. Next, I have anchor the day with a morning light. Exposing your baby to natural light in the morning helps regulate circadian rhythm and strengthen day-night signals. A walk outside first thing can help both of you. If you have dogs or animals, a farm, I'm really just thinking about dogs, and you need to let them out in the morning, this is a good time to take baby with you outside so that they can get fresh sunlight, see some air, or get some air, see some light, and actually click into daytime circadian rhythm. Next, I have share the load. If possible, take turns with the night wake-ups. Even one longer stretch of uninterrupted sleep can make the difference for your mental health. So this goes for both partners. Even if it's switching off every night or if it's switching off every wake window in the middle of the night, this can allow each of you to get longer sleep cycles while also feeling supported by the other one. Yes, you might take the first one and have a shorter sleep cycle to start, but then you should get the next longer sleep cycle. This doesn't work for everybody, but it's one way to try to have that shared responsibility, and then also get equal comfort and relaxation, restorative time. Next, I have give yourself permission to use survival tools. Use contact naps, nursing to sleep, rocking. These are not bad habits. These are big tools and bridges for this developmental state to allow baby to actually walk over that bridge of development. It's okay to lean on what works now. Healthy sleep habits can be taught later. This stage is always about survival and connection. Again, sleep, we can train our bodies and our minds to do pretty much anything. So if we can just get through some of these phases, we can switch our sleep habits or our bad habits some other time later down the road when we have more consistent sleep. Last one I have is care for your nervous system. Prioritize your own sleep whenever it's possible. Yes, naps for parents matter too. Build in little regulation breaks, whether that's a shower, a walk, a moment of deep breathing. And then remember that your baby's nervous system co-regulates with yours. So when you feel calmer, so do they. Typically, we feel calmer when we have better rest and better restorative time in our bodies and brains. Key reframe for this section: you cannot stop this shift, but you can make it a lot smoother. By working with your biology instead of fighting it, you set your baby up for more restful, organized sleep in the long run, and you protect your own well-being in the process. Lastly, I have the evolutionary and protective side of this sleep stage. So it can feel maddening when your baby starts to wake up more in the middle of the night, but from an evolutionary lens, this actually makes perfect sense. Frequent waking equals safety. Human babies are born most neurologically immature of any primate ever. Essentially, they're the ex-womb for the first year, which means they are doing womb-like things for the first year of life. Pretty much the first year of life. Waking often keeps them closer to their caregivers, increasing chances of survival in a world where being left alone could be dangerous. Light sleep stages, the ones that make them really easily to wake up or be disturbed, are protective. They help babies to stay responsive to their environment. We also have SIDS and arousal. Research shows that babies who rouse more easily from sleep may be less at risk for SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. Deep, unbroken sleep sounds ideal to us, but in infancy, the ability to wake quickly is protective for breathing and regulation. We also have feeding and growth. Frequent night waking keeps feeding on track. So at that 3 to 4 months, babies are in a growth spurt and their caloric needs increase a lot. And the nighttime feeds help meet those caloric needs. Then I also have that brain wiring needs repetition. Every time your baby wakes and resettles, their brain is practicing the architecture of sleep. Over time, this leads to the ability to self-soothe and link cycles. But first, the clunky stage has to happen. And finally, I have the attachment advantage. Waking to seek comfort strengthens the bonds between baby and caregiver. So from an evolutionary standpoint, a baby who could reliably signal for comfort was more likely to survive. And this instinct still shows up in modern sleep patterns. Instead of viewing frequent wake-ups as a sign of something that's wrong, you can see them as your baby's built-in survival system. Nature designed this stage to protect them while their nervous system still learns the art of sleep and restorative sleep. So, if you are in the middle of your 3 to 4 month sleep regression, it can feel like the wheels have completely fallen off. You might be questioning yourself, your baby, the advice that you've been given, but here's the truth. Nothing is wrong, your baby is not broken, and you are not failing. This stage is a rite of passage in your baby's development. Their nervous system is literally leveling up. Sleep is becoming more organized, their body is syncing with the rhythms of day and night, and their brain is laying down the pathways that they'll use for the rest of their lives. It feels harder right now because growth always does. In many traditional cultures, this stage doesn't carry the same panic that it does in the West. Babies sleep close to caregivers, feeding and soothing throughout the night is expected, and independent sleep isn't the benchmark of success. It's only in our modern parenting culture that we have been taught to measure worth by how long a baby sleeps without help. So if you're exhausted, frustrated, or even grieving sleep stretches that you once had, you are not alone. You are not doing it wrong. This is hard because it's supposed to be hard. It's a massive transition for both of you. I hope this episode was helpful. I'm loving this sleep series. Next week, we're going to talk about maternal sleep deprivation and mental health, how that gets impacted. So I'm really excited to keep going with this sleep series. If you have any questions specifically about sleep, co-sleeping, sleep training, now's a good time to drop those questions. I'll try to answer them in those following episodes. I hope you guys have a fantastic week. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, leave a review, whatever feels good to you. Share with a friend, share with another mama to be. I hope you have a great week. I'm Dr. Emily, and you've been listening to the Popped Podcast.